Hey guys, here's the video that we're going to be doing today. My client wanted to add some depth and dimension back into her hair and cool down. So to see how we tackled this service, keep watching. You can follow me on Instagram at Christy at the Cottage. Alright, so here's my clients before. We definitely did a little bit of a trim and some layering to cut off some of those really dry dead ends. And because I was kind of weary of potential breakage, we ended up doing a strand test and we mixed it exactly like we're going to mix her bleach for the service, and we let it sit for 20 minutes and it was pulling. So here's the results of the strand test.
Okay, so for today's service is actually going to be a little bit different than what we normally do. My client wanted to come in and do some like heavy blonding and cooling down her hair because it's like stuck at a level 8. But I noticed when I pulled her hair down that she had some breakage like in this back area. So I told her I'd rather start off the service with the strand test and just make sure that her hair feels okay. And I'm always glad when we do a strand test because that tells you exactly what the hair is going to lift to. Is there going to be damage or whatever? And you guys saw the strand test. It definitely was pulling, and I just told her I wasn't really comfortable with going through and not so much doing bleach in general, but maybe just being more cautious and doing like open air balayage just to be able to keep an eye on it a little bit better. And, you know, doing the foils and everything insulates it and gets more lift. So I told her that today for her first service that I'd rather be a little bit more cautious with her hair and maybe just go through and paint some open air balayage and try to brighten what's already there. But warmth really bothers her, and I told her, that being said, I really don't think I'm gonna paint through your roots. Like, I hope that's okay, but open air balayage, in my experience, her hair is probably like a level 3, really only gets like 3 to 5 levels of lift, and so on her hair that would leave her like a level 8, which is orange. So I told her I'd rather not go through her roots and create that brassiness, but more so just paint through what's already existing. So that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna do like a open air balayage, keep an eye on it, but then we're also gonna go through and paint some depth through her hair also because she just doesn't like how solid it is. So to start the service off, we're gonna do Schwarzkopf Blonde Me with 20 volume and Olaplex, open air. I know this is different, I never do open air, so we'll just see what happens.
And this is what we're using, Schwarzkopf Blonde Me with 20 volume and Olaplex. Alright, so because my client doesn't really want to be so solid blonde, I'm leaving a lot of her natural behind. I feel like as I was watching back this video, it looked like I was going in heavy-handed with the balayage pieces, but I'm really just surface painting right here and then saturating more through the ends. So that's going to leave a lot of depth and dimension in where I'm painting her hair. I'm really just touching the surface of these sections and then just maybe doing a little bit heavier through the ends. She feels like when she got her hair done last time, like they just ended up bleaching her out all the way, and she feels more like an ombre versus having more of a balayage. Really quickly, I just want to show like how much depth we're leaving in between the sections. That's all the dark that we're going to be leaving behind. And then I'm just taking these pieces right here, and where she's already lighter at, that's basically where I'm just painting through, and I'm just swiping up a little bit through, not all the way to the root, but just a little bit higher than where she has her color right now, just to try to get rid of that line of demarcation a little bit better. So she felt like she was just too solid blonde. She didn't have any depth or dimension in the hair. So today my goal is to try to brighten up a little bit more of what she already has, but also leaving a lot of her natural and a lot of depth behind in the hair. So you can see in these areas here that she's kind of stuck at like a level 8, and she does not want to be brassy at all. She wants to be nice and cool and ashy. And so my goal is to try and lift her a little bit more and get her out of this level 8 stage and see how much lighter we can get her safely. That's why I thought it would be better to go through and go about the service this way, where we can just kind of put some plastic around the hair, keep a better eye on it, make sure it's not overlifting or damaging, and I can check it a little bit easier, and it's gonna lighten a little bit softer than if I put her hair in foils. Also, because we're not doing foils, we're not doing a full saturation. Normally when I go through with foils, I like to use that because I can saturate it heavily and get better lift. So this is going to be a little bit softer of a lift than what we normally do. In case anybody's wondering, the plastic that I'm using is the Framer plastic that you can get at Cosmoprof. That's where I get mine, and you can also order it online through the company. Through the service, you're going to be seeing the depth that I'm going to be leaving out of the hair. And normally, any other time, I would be going through and adding that depth and painting down the darker pieces of hair that we want to add while I'm doing the blonde. But I was kind of concerned about the hair from doing the strand test and how it was stretching, and I wanted to make sure that at any point in the service, if her hair needed to be washed out because it was over processing, that I would be able to do that. And I felt like if I had been adding the depth back into her hair and adding that second color, then I might not be able to keep as good of an eye on it. So that's why we're just going to go through right now and do the balayage, and then we're going to go through, see what we lift to, and then we're going to add the depth color after the blonde processes. So I just really wanted to be able to keep a safe eye on how she's lifting, make sure she's not over processing or anything, and that's why right now we're not adding the depth in her hair. But look at that underneath piece right there. All of that is all the dark that we're leaving behind. So it looks like we're going in and doing a lot of balayage pieces, but her hair is so thick. So all of this blonde that we're leaving in, it's going to be toned down significantly just because of how thick her hair is and how much depth we're leaving behind. She really just wanted to feel like she has like some really nice brighter pieces throughout her hair, with like a lot of the darkened dimension in there. Her goal initially was to be very blonde, but I told her that I just didn't feel safe doing that. So we would just kind of see where the service takes us today. So some of these really bright pieces in the front, you can see on her hairline that I pulled aside. We're going to try to preserve those extra brighter pieces as best as we can. All right, so in some of the sections where she was already really blonde, like right here, you can see I'm not painting up very high towards the face. And that's because she already has a really bright piece right there, and I don't want to overlap and cause any damage. So in any of those areas where it might look like I'm not balancing it out, it's just because she's already blonde enough in those little sections. So we left that top part more of like a veil that we're going to tone down. And then now we're going to rinse her hair out. I let her process for probably like 45 minutes. So, and I also kept checking on her hair to make sure that she was processing okay and her hair wasn't damaging. So we're going to pull these out, see what she lightened to, and you can see all of that color that's left behind. We're going to tone that down to be much more cooler.
Okay, I just got done washing my client out, and I feel like she got to some nice level 9s in her hair. So I'm gonna go through and tone her hair right now for like the lightest level. I understand there's lots of 8s in her hair. But I'm just really trying to work on the level 9 10s right now to try and keep as much brightness in the hair as possible. So for those to tone, she wants to be ashy. Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm gonna use Agora Vibrance again because I like how it covers really nicely. I'm gonna use just straight 924, which is a light blonde ash beige. I think this will be good for cooling her hair down, but not going too ashy. Okay, so I just got done washing out that level 9 toner that we did. We did like a collagen treatment on her hair right now. She sat for a while. So we just kind of did a rough dry really quickly, and she wants to still tone down her hair and add more depth to it. She does not want to be as dark as her natural. So I'm thinking I'm gonna go through with like some 7 and maybe some level 5, like maybe a 1/4 ounce of 5 with 7-1. I think that would be good. That way it's cooler and not quite as dark, but that level 5 will just give it a little bit more depth. So that's what we're gonna do.
Okay, so 3/4 of my formulation was the 7-1 and 1/4 was the level 5, and then equal parts of the Vibrance 6 volume. So we're going to go through and do our application right now and add this depth back in. So I'm going to go through and pull out any of those brighter blonde pieces and set them aside. And then we're just going to paint through this darker color from the line of demarcation through like the mid shaft and kind of comb it through and not really go through the ends all the way unless that's exactly where she has like that brassy level 8. So I feel like that level 9 toned down, but because it's like an ashier color, remember that ashier tones tend to appear darker, so it still looks as if she's like potentially like a cool level 8. So that's one thing that you always have to make sure that you explain to your clients is I understand that you want to be like really light ashy blonde or cool blonde, but with how much brassiness is in the hair and you want to tone down, either you can be like a brighter, warmer level 9, or we can tone down the ashiness or tone down the brassiness to be more ashy, but then you might look a little bit darker. And she was really adamant that she did not want to have any brassiness in the hair. So that's why using the level 9, she had to be okay and understand that her blonde is going to appear darker. So that being said, we're going to still go through and comb this through the ends. You can see I'm just trying to pick out these darker pieces, leave those lighter pieces behind and set those aside, and just make sure that we're saturating fully through the rest of the hair. Remember how brassy almost all of her hair was before? So everywhere that we left out behind, besides, these brighter pieces that we got through, we're painting and toning down everything else in the hair. So she's still gonna have a little bit of that dimension of the brighter color that we just did, but that's kind of like an ashy level 8 basically is what it toned down to. So if we're doing like a level 7 right now, and then her lightest is kind of like a level 8, then there's really not a whole bunch of brightness left in the hair, which is what we wanted to do. But because her hair was so brassy and she wanted it to be toned down to an ashier color, that kind of eliminates leaving a lot of lightness behind in the hair. So that's just something, and you have to talk to your clients about that beforehand, and you have to inform them, and you have to kind of make them decide. Because if her goal initially was to be lighter blonde and have like a lot of brighter pieces through the hair, but absolutely no brassiness, then you have to ask her, would you rather have a little bit of lighter pieces in the hair but be warmer, or do you want to be toned down and ashier but maybe appear a little bit darker? And she's just like, I really don't want any brassiness in the hair. So they really need to be the one to decide that, because if you decide for them, they're going to be mad that they feel too dark or there's too much brassiness left in the hair. So make sure you have that conversation with your client. So you can see from painting through all those brighter pieces, you can see that she still does have a lot of lighter pieces left in the hair, but she still has a lot of depth that we added back in there. So it breaks it up a lot nicer, and she has much more dimension in the hair now than what she did before. I feel like this lighting at my station makes her hair look so much warmer than what it is, but you'll see when we go up front how much cooler and actually less bright those lighter pieces are. This lighting definitely changes the appearance of it, but you can see that there's still lots of dimension going through the hair, but you'll see when we go up front in the natural light that it's much more cooler looking. All right, when I turn the chair here, you can see kind of just below the root area how that dimension looks from where we painted, and I think it looks really, really pretty. She definitely wanted a more blended look than like a high contrast dimensional look. So here's her before again, a really heavy line of demarcation, just kind of solid and brassy. And then here's the after in the natural lighting. You can see it blends a lot better up into the root area. She's definitely much cooler and obviously a lot more depth in the hair. She was really happy with it. We just decided that we'd let her hair grow out like this until summertime, and then hopefully we'll be able to go lighter at that point. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you liked the video, and don't forget to like and subscribe.